So welcome everybody to tonight's Bridges to Better Business session. Tonight we're talking with women in trades. My name is Angie and I'm the program coordinator for the Business Center Guelph-Wellington. And today we are joined by Felicity Brown, Tracey, I just totally lost your last name and my notes went away, and Fallon. So all three women here are in the trades industry and we're just going to kind of have an open conversation. If you are watching through Facebook or any of our recordings and have questions during the program or after the program, feel free to throw them in chat or send me an email at success@guelphbusiness.com and I can pass that through to our wonderful attendees to let them know and maybe get some answers for you at that point. So welcome, Felicity, Tracey, Fallon. How about I start with getting you to give me a little introduction about yourselves? We'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Angie. Thanks for reaching out and coordinating all of this. This is a super cool initiative, and so I work as a cabinet maker. I work in a custom cabinet shop. I've been in carpentry for about 7 years now. Prior to that, I was a full-time fitness professional, still a personal trainer and instructor. I wear a lot of hats. I like to think of myself as a professional Renaissance woman. So, and somewhere along the line too, I got licensed as an insurance agent. So I do a couple of appointments here and there when I'm not building cool things or helping people get fit. I'm helping them plan their financial future and just kind of demystify that part of life as well. But I really enjoy just the hands-on aspect of working in carpentry. I do my own trim jobs on the side as well. And it's just, it's very, very satisfying to be able to see what you did at the end of the day and, you know, shake off the sawdust and go back to your life after that. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Awesome. So how about we go to Tracey? Want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, sure. The first 10 years, well, from 18 to 30, I was in culinary arts. I worked in some resorts around the Muskoka area. Came back home, did catering on my own. Nobody likes to pay. So I switched careers and started construction. Not a fan of working outside in the rain, so I switched to drywall. Now I own my own drywall company.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's always so exciting how people switched through their careers to find something that suits them better. Fallon, want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of go into general questions and conversation.
Sure. So I've been doing this sort of thing for about 17 years now. My husband decided to start a business with a partner. I am the shop supervisor / manager of operations in the back end. So I run the entire back end, all of the staff back there. It's been a challenge. It's different. I love it. I love what I do. I certainly like to not have a boss anymore, except my husband, but it doesn't really count. So yeah, I am a mom of 2. I never stop. I love what I do, and I don't think I could do anything different.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So why trades? Like, I know most people have gone into various career paths. University gets really pushed on, especially young women. Why did you decide to go? You can throw out any of your answers. You don't have to, I'm not gonna just shoot it out, but why trades? Why did that become the place that you ended up going to?
I definitely needed a change from fitness. I love fitness, don't get me wrong. It's also very rewarding in its own way. My main role, I had a lot of hats there too. I was the manager at a few employee fitness centers, both in private sector and public service, and just dealing with some of the bureaucracy there was the less fun part of the job. And then, but the body gets really tired of teaching, you know, a dozen classes a week and everything too, plus or your own workouts. And I'm also an avid martial artist and kung fu instructor. So it's and then I think sometimes with the physical nature of trades, having done, construction as well, I also dislike working outside in the winter. So it's nice to be in a shop with where you're sheltered and everything's kind of there for you. But I had taken some shop classes in high school, and my grandfather was a carpenter. We never got to work together, unfortunately, but my dad and my uncle both always did a lot of work. My parents are constantly doing renos, so I kind of come by that, honestly. And it's just, I when I went back to school for that, where I met Tracey, I was like, why didn't I kind of do this sooner? And it's just, I knew it was one of those things. I knew I wasn't going to be in a like traditional kind of office job, and I don't know if that's really a thing anymore anyway, but it was just looking for that satisfaction and something different. And I feel pretty good in work boots and a tool pouch, so here we go.
Fallon, Tracey, do you want to add on to that at all?
I mean, I've been to college a few times. I took police foundations, kind of thought that's the way I wanted to go. I just took a job on a whim. I always worked two jobs when I was young, and I had lost one, and I thought, oh, I need to work. So I took a job on a whim, and then I just kind of fell in love with it. And it was easy. It came easy to me. I was good at it. And I liked it. So I kind of just went with it, and I don't think I could do anything different now. I mean, the amount of school I went to and things that I've done, and I just kind of always circled back to it. So I guess I was just meant to do it.
That's the best way though to describe it. I know for my own career path, there's been a bunch of things that I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and then ended up just like in somewhere completely left field,
Yeah.
and are like, oh, this might just been better where I was better suited.
I've done a lot, and you know what, a desk job, it's not for me. I just put on my pink steel toes every day and just do my thing, and I love it. I just can't sit still long enough. So
Well, that's a big thing about it, like the difference between an office job where you're sitting in front of a computer all day. I'm sure the differences of being in a trades field, a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more active. Do you find that really helps draw that? That's really gives you that satisfaction of being in there, seeing things complete.
yeah. That's definitely like one of the best parts, is when you get something that's raw and not ready and unfinished and looks like crap, and then you make it pretty in the end. It's like, yeah, that's just, doesn't matter how much work you do or how little praise you get. It's when you do it and it looks great and you love it and you're happy. It's like, yeah, that's why I do it.
It's wonderful. Tracey, do you have anything to add to this?
I prefer staying in the trades just for the money and the, well, it's good money if you're good at what you do and you're not dealing with a lot of BS with seniority in the office, right? I mean, if you're a slacker, you're not going to have your name out there. You're not going anywhere very fast. So it's all about your own determination. You set your values, your morals, and you go with it and you make your money at the end. So
that's wonderful. Yeah, it's a stigma you don't hear a lot about, is the rates of pays versus going into some like office industries and stuff. But really the trades is a good career path. I know there's a lot of stigma about women in trades. Like it is tend to be for the longest time a fairly male dominated industry. How do you feel about the shift, or do you think there is a shift, or do you think that it's more just kind of still mainly male and it's just a few odd women who push their way through? I'll leave it to the floor.
Someone else wanted, I know kind of what my thoughts are on that, but if anyone wants to, if either of you ladies wants to start first.
It was
So,
quiet.
all
Go
right.
for it. Just shoot it out there.
So yes, it is still very, very much male dominated. I've worked on a few different crews in a few different settings, and overall, I would say that I've had good experiences. You do kind of get the sense sometimes of, am I being stared at because I'm just the anomaly on site? But I've really never been treated like I was any different than any other worker. Like, the guys in my shop are fantastic. None of them will hesitate to ask me for help with a 2-person lift versus one of the other guys, unless it's going up on a higher shelf than I can reach. Flat out, our delivery driver kind of teases me after. He's like, "You drove the truck yesterday, didn't you?" I'm like, "Well, how do you know?" And he's like, "Because I got squashed in the seat." But no, it's I've had overall really positive experiences. Is there sexism there? Unfortunately, yes, it exists. But it's few and far between, I would say. Oddly, I think I've gotten more sort of kind of subtle sexism from what's the word I'm looking for? I guess unexpected places. For example, I think once there was a woman who asked me what I did, and I said, "Oh, I work in carpentry," and she said right away, "Oh, is the secretary?" And I'm like, "No, like swinging hammers and everything." Nothing against secretaries. Lord, we couldn't work without them. You know, they keep they keep everything together. But it was just, there's that assumption sometimes, and I've had roles on some crews where I was mostly just cleaning up after the guys, and I was like, this is not a good use of my skill. I don't like the optics of this. And it was nothing against what I could do. It was just sort of the nature of what that position was. And I got my foreman would get excited when he actually had something for me to build. He's like, "Yeah, I get to get you to do something fun today." But no, it's been it's not the aggressive, sort of intimidating atmosphere, I think, that you've sort of heard about over the years. I I hate to say it, like, mansplaining wouldn't have been given a name if it wasn't a thing, but I honestly think I've seen more of that in fitness than I have in trades. You know, I was the woman in the weight room a long time before before I was in the trades, and back in the day when the ladies were just always on the cardio machines. So I don't know. I really don't find it's been any worse in trades than anywhere else. It's just we've all got a long way to go, but it's getting a lot better, I think. So
That's great. Tracey, Fallon, or am I just going to keep picking on everybody?
Yeah, the majority of sexism that I usually get are from women, with the secretary or the helper or anything else. It's kind of like a good slap in the face when you got to look at another woman and say, "No, I'm actually the owner." So that's the majority. For men wise, I mean, once I get the feeling whenever a woman is in the fields, they just respect you because you made it there. You're there for a reason. Like, I don't get a lot of hassle or anything from any of the men. They're quite they're all gentlemen so far. So
That's wonderful. Fallon,
Yeah.
do you have anything that you want to add?
I mean, it is a bit challenging. What I do is there's a lot of detail to it, and it does take a long time to learn. So there's a bit of trouble with the older school guys who had been set in their ways, and it's good. It's great. Like, what they know is amazing, but things change. So you got to kind of work with that. I actually have a really good staff. I don't feel the difference between male, female. I can do everything they can do. They come to me for everything. So it's kind of comforting because they need me. If I'm not there, it's just like my phone blows up, and I kind of appreciate that they respect that I know what I'm doing. It did take some time for, some of them to realize that I can do this, and it's not because I'm married to the boss and he's doing this with my help, and it happened because he had me to help him start it, because I was by myself in the beginning doing it all. It's been pretty good. I mean, I think the only thing I get is mostly outsiders. We'll get delivery guys or guys to pick up that will say, where's the boss guy? Where's he at? Like, well, you're looking at her. So like, let's figure this out. That's kind of the only thing that I've come across, is a lot of the guys that are coming to drop off or pick up kind of stand there and look at me like, you're going to unload this? Watch me unload it while you stand there. Because that's generally what happens. So that's the only thing that gets a little frustrating, but my staff is really good at kind of backing me on that and saying like, she's a boss, so whatever she say goes. Like, let's just get this done. So I'm pretty lucky. I haven't really had to fight that hard. But
Well, and it's something that I've seen in many industries. Like I used to be in the food industry, transportation, working for transport trucks, like also very male dominated. And I've seen that across all industries. So it's always something that I hear a lot about, but I'm not surprised that it's no worse than anywhere else, because
yeah,
like I've even had it at food shows where they're like, oh, can I talk to the one guy in your booth? And you're like, actually he has no idea about what's going on. I'm the one that knows what's going on. So I totally get that. But as an industry, like I've seen a lot of pushes towards the trades industry lately, and I know there's like a need, but there's always a need in almost every industry, but this is a need. And there's a big movement to try and get more people to realize that trades are a viable career choice. It's not that it's just a job, it's a good career. Is there something you would tell people who are thinking of actually like starting their own trades business, or going through and getting all that, the experience to do that? Is there something that you would be like, yes, do this, or yes, think of these things first? I know I'm putting everybody on the spot.
Use your resources in your network. Going into any business is always has a lot, to think about and figure out. And I just recognizing that you don't have to do it all yourself. And I say this as somebody who is generally pretty terrible at delegating things, and then just like, no, I can do all of that. And it's like, nope. If somebody is better at like the organizational or paperwork or like marketing side, and that's not always viable at first either, because as you're getting started out, you might not be able to afford to pay anybody yet. So you kind of have to at first, but the more you can just, I guess, collect people in your back pocket, right? To rely on, and you help them, they help you. I've heard it said, know what you know what you don't know, and know who knows what you don't know. So yeah, definitely just don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. And I think the know what you know part is especially important. I will say for everybody, but women especially are not sort of conditioned and cultured to take risks and be brave. That's just the general societal thing, right? Imposter syndrome tends to run rampant among, we want to be perfectionists and like, excellent at everything before we even take that leap. But there's, when you're in things long enough, you start to recognize that there are people in who are making it, who are not as good at this as I am. And so just trust yourself, know that you're good, and go for it. Yeah.
Tracy, do you want to add to that? I'm gonna start picking on you, so I'll just
Yeah, no, it's all about networking. You need to have the right people to help you out too. Like, it's ask questions, ask for help, reach out. There's nothing wrong with it. You need that. The other thing is like your confidence. If you know you were good at what you do, be brave enough to accept it and put it out there for the rest of the world, kind of thing. Like, there's gonna be people that are making money that are way shittier at the job than what you're doing. There's no reason why you can't make a good living off of it, right? So
yeah, totally. Fallon, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're both right. There's a lot of different things that come into play. I guess I just jumped in and didn't really think about it and kind of dealt with it as it came. And then my husband can probably attest that I struggled in the beginning with it. I didn't really care for the comments or the this or the that, but I kind of just kept going and I just kept doing my thing. And then eventually it was just kind of like, okay, well, she knows what the hell she's doing and she doesn't care what we're saying. So like, let's just get over it. Let's just work. Let's do our thing. So I think that if you are confident and you know that this is what you want to do, it shouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. And you shouldn't worry about what anyone else thinks. Because if this is something that you're passionate about and you're good at, it's going to show. And you just do your thing, no matter what anyone else thinks. This is what you're meant to do. You just do it and just love it. I mean, I love what I do it, and I don't worry about what anyone else thinks. So if you don't like it, there's the door. Like, yeah, that's it. See ya.
And that's the best though. Like, just do it. Just, if you love it, go for it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the best response. Is like,
You got to be happy. You only live once. I mean, if I could make maybe a ton more money sitting at a desk, I don't care. I don't want to do that. I want to get up every day. I love what I do. I love going to work. I'm happy. So that's what matters.
do you find that there's a lot of movement for people in trades to be self-employed versus working for other people, like having like that contractors, those running your own businesses? It seems to be a place that can have more versatility to those kind of things. I don't know if that's just my outside perception or if that's an actual reality within it. So I don't put it out there. Is that something that you see? Do you see more people wanting to be self-employed or wanting to be contractors? Or do you think a lot of people within the trades want to just be an employee?
I see a lot of people that just like to go to work and have their check. They don't want the stress of managing the books and finding the next job. There's a lot of times that you get somebody ask if they could just jump on for a few months because they don't want to go out and find their own work. They want to break from that headache. It's hard enough sometimes to do that all on its own.
Yeah,
I know that I like doing both. I like having the one, full-time employment where I know where I'm going every day and I know what's coming in and I kind of know what to expect. But then also as I like the freedom and flexibility of picking up my own work as well. And I just as someone who's not the best at time management, I do well with having a part of my day that's already kind of structured for me, and then everything else I tend to plan better around that. And so that just works for me. Do I think someday I will leave and work for myself? Probably. Fallon, don't tell Paul.
Got you back.
But no, it's there's always so much to learn from everybody that it's fun to yeah, Kathy, I agree with what you just put in the chat there. Yeah, just like learning from each other and having an environment where it's collaborative and everything like that is really key. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my thought on that, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree with Kat. So in the comments, there's teamwork is important, subs or employees, so subcontractors or employees. And I could see that. Like, I'm sure that there's always those concerns on any job site of if somebody's not working well with somebody else, but that's any industry, and I can't see that being amplified any worse in a trades industry than in any industry that I've worked in. I've worked in quite a few. Are there any thoughts or comments that you had wanted to share with people? So like I said, this is a pretty open forum. If there's something that you had pre-thought of that you're like, yeah, we should talk about this, just throw it out there. I know we're pretty quiet today. It happens every time. If not, my next question would be like, with that movement and the growth, and so like we are part of the business center. That's what the business center Guelph-Wellington. So we get a lot of people who are starting like from the beginning of trying to get into the businesses or into industries, and start with their own employment. I don't know if this is the best for Tracey, but what would you recommend if somebody's like just saying, okay, I've been doing carpentry by myself, or I've been doing some trades industry within a business for a while, and I want to do this on my own. How would you advise them to just like go for it? Or is there something that they should consider? Because there's always the general considerations of insurances and WSIB and all those fun things. But is there something that you think that they should think about before they do that launch?
Oh, for construction, no, there's not. As long as you look at your WSIB, because like, I mean, it's different for everything, right? I pay a certain amount for drywall. Construction, in general construction, pay a little bit more. So figure out what dollar per whatever. Your insurance isn't really that expensive for your liability insurance. So, I mean, once you think about it, to start off, you need about $1,000, and you're good. You're good to go after that. So it doesn't take a lot in the long scheme of things. It's easy to do. It takes a day to set up your business number, and you're good. You're golden. You can go from there. So it's just take the jump, have the courage, and just get it done with.
That's great. Yeah, so every year I have kind of a term, and last year it was pivot, because we all know we hated the word pivot. But this year it's actionable. So I really like to give people actionable advice and actionable data of how they can move forward. Is there something that you would think would be a good actionable statement, like the going for it, doing it, launching it is like great.
Here's the great part is if you say you can start your own company for $1,000, because usually construction, you have no overhead when you're going out on your own. You do it from your own place, your own van, your own truck. Can you make that $1,000 up in the first 2 months? If you can, then why aren't you doing it? Right? So there's your actionable.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Do you find things like costing are a problem? Like, I know I've talked to a few people, and like I'm currently renovating a house, so I've talked to a few people in various fields, and like I find that the various industries have very wide ranges of pricing structures and cost analysis and how they do the breakdown.
I got away from I do labor prices only now. You supply your own materials, and that way I don't have that overhead either.
That makes sense. That's a smart.
And then but the other thing is it gives the option to the other people to buy without paying the extra to the contractor as well. So everybody gets to save money, or in the long run, yeah.
That's a smart way of doing it. I haven't heard of that way, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if Fallon or Felicity, if you have anything you want to add to any of my overall statements.
I think Tracey did a good job covering that. I mean, it's it really saves a lot of headaches to have the material already there, and and look, I drive a Mazda 3 sedan. So, yep, that thing is, I'm one tool away from needing a bigger vehicle. And at this point, I think an extra screwdriver would do it. So I cannot transport materials, forget it. Yeah, so that's definitely a smart way to go. And then just you've got your labor costs and making sure that you're pricing yourself fairly and for yourself, like not undercharging. Just Google is your friend for a lot of things. I think like Google what other people are charging. That's never been my favorite part of anything, like whether it was personal training or whatever. Just I hate coming up with that number, but I know that I'm good, and I know that I've got a lot of experience, and you are bringing your own tools, which is investment and everything like that. So it's don't be afraid, to charge what you know that you're worth. So, and people will pay it if they value what you do, and if they don't, they can go find somebody else who's not going to do as good a job as you will. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I don't know, Fallon, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, they're right. That's a pretty good way of doing it. Like we can't, have them supply because that's what we are as a supplier. But it makes sense. Like you got to do whatever works and just figure it out. And they nailed it pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. That's great.
Yep.
So if somebody's thinking of doing this, like they're like, okay, I want to do trades, I want to get into one of these industries, this sounds wonderful. What do they need to do to start? Like if they don't have the experience or they haven't gone it as part of it, like before, they're like, okay, I went to university, I hate my job, I've been sitting in front of an office all day, typing away, transposing something, and I decide I want to be a carpenter. What would you recommend they do? Should they go to school? Should they just find apprenticeships? Is there one right way, or is it just kind of open-ended?
Go to school if
Hey.
you have no background. Like
Yeah.
if you got no background experience whatsoever, go to school and get that, definitely. But I mean, if you're raised around it and you're capable of doing it, then jump into the apprenticeship or just jump into the job and do your time to write your red seal, right?
Yeah.
The joy of the trades.
And you can have a good career as, like, I'm not red seal, I'm not a licensed carpenter. You can have a good career as a carpenter without having that. It might affect, overall pay scale. But really it's if you get in there and know your stuff, going to school, like Tracey said, is definitely a great way to get the general kind of overview of things. But there are companies who hire people green and train them from the ground up, and they can do really well for themselves that way. It just depends on the work you're willing to put in, and have a good work ethic and be coachable, be willing to learn, that stuff, and you'll find your niche and find what you like the best. Like I've done framing, deck building, a tiny bit of drywall, but not to Tracey's scale for sure. And what I found that I really enjoyed and am really good at is trim, finishing, and everything. And I'm learning a lot in the cabinet shop as well. So it's just getting in there and getting started. So.
Fallon, do you want to add anything to that at all?
Well, in my experience, we have most of our guys don't have schooling. They didn't go to school for any of that sort of thing. It's just something that they kind of like to do. I myself didn't go to school for that. It was completely opposite end of what I do now. And now I am a supervisor and manager. So it was something that I loved and I just caught it and I did well at it. So I think it just works sometimes. Sometimes, I mean, in my opinion, you've got people who went to school and who didn't, and that person who didn't is just got that knack. Like they love it. They weren't taught it or told it a certain way. So in my experience, when they're green, I love it because I get to teach them my way. And it's quite different than what they learn in school because it's more hands-on. It's a little different because you've got like the old school guys and the new school, and you try to mesh them together. So I kind of like it when they're green because we can, they've got fresh ideas and they're not told by somebody else how to do something, but they've never actually worked in a shop and done that sort of thing. So when you put them together and they're just completely willing to try anything, that to me is a lot more beneficial for me and helpful to run my shop, is somebody who's willing to listen and not somebody, because I've had a few that come in and go, well, in school, they told me to do this. Well, in school I learned, and it's like, okay, I understand, but I'm asking you to do this for a reason. So for me, I like them green. It's just my preference, but.
No, that totally makes sense. We are about 20 minutes. So I'm gonna see if anybody has any questions or comments they want from those attending before I turn off anything. But if there's anything else, either of you want to, honestly, this is great. I every now and then do the whole like, maybe I should have done something different. I do well in my career. There's no concerns about my career. I'm just one of those people that want to do everything, which doesn't help. But I know it's one of those industries that's always like very fascinating. Kathy, I see your hand up. Do you want to add a comment or a question or something? You'll have to unmute yourself.
A question for Tracey. Do you have a helper when you're boarding?
Sometimes, depends how many, like if it's a small room, I just use a panel lift. I have part-time workers and I'll use them, especially if I have bigger jobs. I have another job coming up next week. It's 180 sheets. I definitely have two men coming in to help me there.
Okay. And do you do your tape and mudding?
Yeah, and I do everything right down to prime. I'll prime check. I even paint afterwards as well. So we even do suspended ceilings and grids on top of the drywall. Anything stucco related and wall related is us.
So you do stucco removal?
Nope, don't want to, but I will. I like putting the stucco.
I know, right? It's kind of like with doing wallpapers. Yeah, we'll hang wallpaper, but we don't want to take it off.
Oh gosh, no, especially the stucco, because that'll come out pretty heavy.
No, okay, we should connect though.
Yeah.
We have one drywaller only, so we do renovations and painting here in Guelph area. I messaged you privately, but I don't know if you saw it. So
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Not a problem. So if there's no other question or comments, ladies, do you have any last thoughts you want to tell people who are thinking of doing this as an industry, thinking of doing this as their own business, thinking of that, or some girl out there who's like, oh, I never even thought of trades. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, I didn't really know this was an option. So
I kind of wish that I had figured out to go into it earlier. I've really valued and appreciated my time in fitness and everything as well. And there are no mistakes. You think you're making them, and sometimes you just have to forgive yourself for being tough on yourself and realizing that my mom's always saying nothing is ever wasted, and it's true. Like, there are so many skills and experiences that are transferable between industries. Trades is a lot of attention to detail and mastering some skills, attention to detail, and then just kind of knowing how to move around and adapt as you need to. And everybody Googles. Like, I've been on enough crews to know nobody knows everything. But once you know what you know, then you can figure it all out. And as for anyone thinking of going into it. If it's a thought, if it's something that really attracts you and you find yourself thinking about it a lot, then just go for it. Whether it's start with just a course. If you're not ready to jump into a whole program, find a woodworking course or even workshops or something on a YouTube tutorial, and just kind of try your hand at it. And if you really take to it, then you'll know, and you'll want to keep. That's a great point. Volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. It's you'll figure it out quickly if it's not for you, and if it is for you, then you'll move up quickly as well.
Great. Tracey, do you have any last thoughts you want to add in?
Girls are awesome on the construction site. And I wish more women would actually like come out and see the trades, like young women from high school and stuff, because you could definitely kick butt. So
That's wonderful. Fallon, do you have any thoughts you want to share?
I mean, I think just do it. Felicity's right. There is no wrongs. There's no mistakes. If you go down the wrong path, to me, everything you learn or do that didn't work out is the life experience. You take that with you, and it's for a reason. It leads you somewhere at some point in life. You're going to go, hey, remember that time I did this? Now it works for me. Now I learned something from that. So at the time it might suck, but sometime it's going to come back around and benefit you in some way. So, I mean, just do it. Do what makes you happy. Don't think about the rest. Just get it done. Just do it.
That's wonderful. Connie, I see your hand up. Do you have a question? You'll have to make sure you unmute yourself.
So I guess it kind of fits in with the topic we've just been on. How do you find out what you like? What are some ways to get some experience? Or is there a course is there a kind of course that sort of covers a little bit of everything? Is there something like that?
Well, the course that Tracey and I took was called General Construction Carpentry Techniques. So I guess those are good keywords to look for. And just sort of, read your course descriptions. If it says that it gives you a taste of everything, I would say that's probably a good place to start. That's a great question, because I'm like Angie. I want to do everything, and I've done a lot. We all have, right? So it's stumbling forward is the way to go, and if it's a course you're looking for, then those keywords of general and those are good things to look for, because it will kind of give you that sampler, I guess, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
you can always go to work with somebody too. Find an independent contractor and tag along with them. I take a few high school students every so often to help with drywall, and they're chasing around a plumber learning there, and they're asking an electrician this, and they're just being on site. Like, find somebody that you can ask to tag along for a day, a weekend, or whatever, and start looking at big sites and check out all the different trades and ask a ton of questions. So
100%. Yeah.
Somebody on a site would be open to some kid coming up.
If you find a private contractor like me, I can take somebody in for a day. Like, it's not a big site, but yeah, if you call around, there's people out there that would love to help take you out for a week, especially in summer and stuff, right? There's lots of people.
Perfect. That's wonderful. And I seen in the chat that there was a recommendation for a Conestoga course called Reno Tech as well. So anybody who's watching, that's might be something to look into as well, if that's what you're considering. I'll ask, is there any more questions or comments that anybody has that they would like to bring up? If not, I don't see anything on our Facebook. What I'll do is ask everybody who's in our Zoom room right now to stick around for a second, and I will say bye to our Facebook Live friends and anybody who's watching this recording after the fact. And thank you to Felicity, Fallon, and Tracey for joining us today. It's very informative. Always, I love talking with all the different industries. One of my favorite things of my job to do. So those who are watching us later, if you have any questions or comments, something you want to add, please do send me an email, success@guelphbusiness.com, or you can just message me on any of our social networks. I'm the one that you'll get to. So just message the Business Center at Guelph Business. So thank you very much again. And so those of you who are here, please stick around for a second and have yourselves a great rest of your day.